and welcome to Subjective Thoughts. And our book for today is The Cat Who Saved Books by Sōsuke Natsukawa. My apologies if I butchered that. And published by, I'll show you, here we go, I'm not sure how to pronounce that. Okay, now there is a death and some weird shit in this one, so if you are in any way squeamish, you have been warned. Also, spoilers. Alright, so first I'll start with, this is the English translation. This is originally in Japanese. I will leave the name of the translator here. Okay, so this is a fairly new book. It came out in 2021, from what I saw on Goodreads. I haven't heard of it. It's just about, I think 2 weeks ago, I was in another mall, and I went into the bookstore, and I saw this one, and I thought, oh, this looks like something nice to read. So I decided to pick it up. Now this is also part of, I don't have to say series or duology. Maybe there'll be more in the future, but in 2024, the author wrote another one. So, The Cat Who Saved the Library. So yeah, there's a second one. I don't know if it's the same cat though, but so yeah, that's really all I know. I read the back and thought, again, this looks like something nice to read. So this story is about a young teenager, Rintaro. I'm probably butchering his name, but yeah. So he lives with his grandfather, or lived with his grandfather, when all of a sudden his grandfather passed away in his sleep, which left Rintaro alone because his parents split up when he was a baby, and his mother died. And then he moved to live with his grandfather. And his grandfather owned a second-hand bookstore called Natsuki Books. Natsuki is the family surname. So now Rintaro's a very closed-in young teenager. He's described as very plain. He doesn't have really any friends. He's constantly shut in. He's a hikikimaru. There's a Japanese word in there for that. But yeah, he's a recluse. He just sits in his grandfather's bookshop and reads all the time. Not exceptionally excellent in any kind of topic at school. He doesn't do any activities. You get the picture. And now, after his grandfather passes away, he can't stay to live on his own. And the doctor examines the grandfather after calls and finds an aunt of his that arrives to their little town, and he's going to move in with her. But that means he's going to leave the shop. Now, the shop doesn't make a lot of money, but it doesn't lose a lot of money. So it's an interesting inheritance. And then as Rintaro just sits there after the funeral, right, to people he doesn't seem like he's sad, but he is very sad. He's just staring blankly at the shelves and looking at the books. And suddenly a cat appears, an orange tubby by the name of Tiger the Tubby. Now, in the translator's note at the end, in the Japanese, in the original, it doesn't really tell you what gender the cat is, if it's a female or a male. So it kind of says, just imagine what you want. So when I read the book, I saw the cat as male for some reason. I don't know. To me, to me it was a boy. You can imagine how you want. That's a really nice illustration of how he looks over there. But yeah, the cat suddenly arrives, and Rintaro's thinking, have I lost it after grandfather died? But no, the cat's really there, and it's talking. And it tells him that it needs his help. It needs to help him save books, or free imprisoned books. And he needs to accompany him into a labyrinth. There's 3 labyrinths he has to go in with him to help him rescue imprisoned books. So, what else do you do when this happens to you? I suppose just go with it. So he goes with the cat to the first labyrinth, to a man who has many, many books, but he just reads one and then doesn't read any more. He just goes on the next one, and he has no beloved books. And Rintaro talks to him and tells him, oh, you're not really, you don't really love these books. You really love reading if they're just locked up in piles and everything. And he convinces the man, and the books are released. Now, Rintaro, like I said, doesn't have friends, but his class rep, Sayo, comes to see him and bring him his homework. And he doesn't really understand. Sorry. He doesn't really understand, but she truly cares about him. He just can't see it. And it looks like she could also see the cat. Because the cat comes back, Tiger comes back to tell me to help me in the second labyrinth, but Sayo comes into the shop and tells him, what if she sees you? And the cat says, don't worry, she can't see me. Only people under special circumstances can. Well, it turns out in these circumstances she can see him. So she accompanies Rintaro to the second labyrinth, which has a man who cuts up books to summarize them, so people would want to read more. Or some people would read the summarized books. But he basically takes away all the contents of the books and just leaves you like little mini scraps. So Rintaro talks to him and convinces him as well. And so, he talks to him and convinces him as well. Until the books are freed once again. There's that. Now Sayo almost falls into the influence of the man in the second labyrinth, but then Rintaro saves her. Then we go to the third labyrinth. After that, now through all this, Rintaro learns that Sayo really cares, and learns some things about himself, and remembers what his grandfather told him, and all that. And the third labyrinth, it's a man who owns a massive publishing company, just keeps publishing only books that sell. It's got this massive company building, it's ridiculous. And there's books everywhere just falling out of the fucking building. And so he convinced him as well. He's like, yeah, maybe some books aren't as popular and people don't read them, and you should not take them out of print. You gotta love books. And he convinces him as well. And then it seems this is it. The cat thanks him, Rintaro thanks the cat, saying, I feel like, you really helped me here. And so it seems that's it. Rintaro's about to move. Already his aunt finally gave him the date of moving. And he's like, oh, this is it. I'm saying goodbye to Natsuki Books. Then all of a sudden, the cat appears again. 3 days after it said goodbye. And he tells him, I need your help one more time. This is the last you'll see me. There's a fourth labyrinth. And Rintaro changed a bit throughout all this experience, and he tells him, okay, but let's hurry before Sayo arrives. Because she'll want to join if it's even more dangerous than the last 3. I don't want her there. That was also another thing. If Rintaro failed, he would have been stuck in the labyrinth, whichever one he failed at. Well, but then the cat tells him she's been kidnapped, so you must go. So he goes. He's in this weird world. He and the cat get into a carriage that takes them to the 4th labyrinth. But the cat won't go any further with him. So by the way, in the third labyrinth, the cat was prevented from going with him, so it's a good thing he had Sayo again to help him. And so, now he has to face this last thing, and this time he and the cat really say goodbye. And the cat thanks him for being a friend. Oh no, he thanks the cat. And they part. And he goes further until he reaches a town that looks very familiar because it's his own. And he goes into a copy of Natsuki's books. He goes in and there's a lady in a black outfit waiting for him in there. But she's a very lifeless one. And she invites him to sit. She's this kind of entity that he has to deal with. And then she shows him like all the 3 labyrinths where he went. She showed him how the lives of the men that he talked to changed. The first one was a successful radio show host, and now he just sits in an unimpressive suit and just reads, like the same books, or rereads, I should say. Then the second man who scrapped books, he doesn't get invited to do lectures, and his building's empty. And then the third one's his company's in trouble because they print books that went out of print and all that. So she shows him, like, look what you did. Okay, so the whole point here is that books have a soul. And in this 4th labyrinth, there's a really, really old book that's been given to many people. Many people read it over the years. And its soul has been corrupted. Because it takes on not mannerisms, but it takes on a bit from the reader. So that's what he has to face. And so this entity, this woman, she wants to know, why does he love books? What does he think? Because she wants books to be saved, but they're currently in trouble. So then they tells her that he just always loved books. This answer doesn't interest her. Everything grows cold, and she's like, leave, go. And at first he's relieved because she's starting to walk away and thinks, yes, I can leave. I can go back to my little hideout. I don't have to face this. But then something in his mind is flickering. He's like, no, there's something. And then he remembers Sayo, that he has to save her. So then, although he wants to run, because the cat told him, I believe you can do this, he goes after the woman into the dark corridor, and then keeps talking about books, what his grandpa taught him, and how books are important, and because they teach empathy and to the readers. And yeah, not many people read anymore nowadays as they used to, but some still do, and those read the books, and they learn empathy. And that interest seems to steer something in the woman, and the 3 men agree with him as well from the video screens they talk to him. And it seems that'll suffice, and then the woman tells him, okay, now you really must leave. So he didn't change anything, but it looks like he steered something. And then the bright light goes, and he finds himself back in the shop with Sayo sleeping in his arms. It looks like he helped her again, or he saved her, and that's it. And then that day, his aunt comes to see him, and he tells her I've decided that I don't want to leave because a moving company's about to arrive. So then she's like, yeah, I knew you would say that. That's a very sweet 50-year-old woman. Yeah, so she tells him, okay, but I have 3 conditions for you to stay and live here alone. 1, you call me 3 times a day and tell me that you're doing okay. Number 2, you stop skipping school, because she knew that he was skipping. And number 3, that if you have any problems, you don't try to deal with it alone, you call me to help. Now, don't be alone in this. And so he agrees. Oh, and it's also Christmas Eve there in Japan. Okay, so he agrees, and that's it. And then we have the epilogue of now Rintaro. It's been a few months. He has his routine. He wakes up like his grandfather. He dusts the shop, sweeps the floor, drinks his tea that his grandfather loved so much as well every day, and then goes to school. And that's it. Not all the problems are fixed, but it's a start. And also Sayo asks him out to dinner. So fingers crossed, he might have a girlfriend. Because the cat even teases him, young love. And that's it. That's where it ends. Now, the future is still open, but as Rintaro says, he now chose a path and he's going to walk it. And that's it. Alright, the cover. So I like it. Not much of a fan of yellow, but this looks really lovely. I like how it has the ginger tubby. I don't know if this is an illustration by someone or was this done in AI. Today you can't be certain anymore, but I hope it's not AI. He's such a cute kitty, look at him. But I will say, I like the, I think this is a Japanese cover a lot more. It's cooler. So yeah, still a nice job. It is very eye-catching. I mean, that's the first reason I looked at the book in the shop. Okay, so that's the cover. Now for the story. So this is a pretty interesting one. It's kind of a little bit like Alice in Wonderland, somewhat. I will admit, I thought of the Cheshire Cat when I was reading about Tiger the Tubby. But, and that's the point, I'm not entirely sure. In terms of the story, because, again, when I read the description, I thought, or the summary, I thought it would be, maybe there's an actual cat's gonna appear and, I don't know, drag the kid around town to people that are, actually destroying books or have books in bad shape, but they won't let them go or do anything. I did think it would be kind of Alice in Wonderland, where he actually goes to labyrinths to meet these probably not even real people and just, convince them to stop doing what they're doing. Because all of them have a point. They all love books, but in his eyes, they mistreat books in the eyes of the cat. And these books need to be saved. I guess to an extent he's got a point, especially with the second guy. Because he's like, because he's cutting up books, he's taking out all the nuances, the tone, the atmosphere, and just leaving out a couple of sentences like, oh yeah, great, I read the book, but it's just a couple of sentences and that's it. But not even a couple, just one. But I'm not sure if I agree with the whole books teach empathy. Because, and empathy is when you can put yourself in the shoes of the person or the character and what the character's going through. But, how many times can you really feel true empathy? I would say sympathy would be a better word. I mean, when you sit down and read about other characters, I'm not saying you can feel empathy to solve the situations, but how often sympathy, if anything, because you're reading, about bad things that might happen to them, and like, oh, I feel sorry for you, or can understand. I don't know if I really agreed with that sentiment there, personally. Maybe I'm wrong. I don't know. I've also been reading from a young age, and I always loved books, but I never looked at them as something that taught me empathy. It's just, I got to escape from my own existence into someone else's, and, forget about the troubles of life for a bit. And it still does that for me today. And also it allowed me to travel to, other worlds. But I always thought of it as something that taught me, again, empathy. Maybe it taught sympathy and how people can be different, but I don't know. The whole sentence there was a bit weird for me. And also, the whole three labyrinths feel almost pointless, unless that was all just meant to help Rintaro come out of his shell. And I almost thought that in the final labyrinth, he was going to come across his grandfather or something. Because, the lady tells him that she's like almost a 2,000-year-old book. Mind you, how the hell a book like that didn't fall apart unless it was constantly fixed. But then this lady thinks that books are going away. No one's reading. No one really sees souls in books. Which is, again, another interesting point there. But it's just, I don't know, she gave into despair because people are not reading. And why did she want to talk to Rintaro? And, like, the whole concept of these labyrinths and this whole world of souls of books is very interesting. I wish that the author focused more on that. Maybe have it connect somehow to Rintaro's grandfather. Because we don't really get much about the grandfather. I mean, I get it. I think it's meant to focus on Rintaro, but it's kind of like, I don't know, a boy coming to terms with his grandfather's death, and then, realizing he has to, get out of his shell and not isolate himself. But then you got some elements of magical stuff in there, or magical realism, maybe. I don't know. It feels like two themes are fighting in here, I don't know. I just found that a bit odd. I just imagined it would be something else, basically. Danny talking to my grandma and dad. I mean, don't get me wrong, I enjoyed the read, but I still find these points that were said in the book is odd. I don't know what it had to do with the whole thing. But I will say, I am interested to read the second one if I find it somewhere. I would read it, but and in this one, I'm like, maybe you just wanted to do a certain thing. Maybe it's the translation. I'm not saying the translation is bad. I wouldn't know. I don't read Japanese, so I can't compare. But it's just, I don't know. It almost feels like it was a bit of an interesting, weird, jumbled mess to read, is what I'm trying to say. Again, it's a very enjoyable book if you want this, little nice adventure. And I also couldn't help but compare it a bit to, Before the Coffee Gets Cold. But also, has a special cafe and everything, but there it felt like it was, all stringed together very well. You get the point, and just it intertwines perfectly, and here it's like, I feel like more elaboration might have been just needed here about this world a little bit, and maybe somehow connected to the grandfather. Because as it stands, it just feels a little... You know what? I think the word I'm looking for, it feels a little shallow. Perhaps. But again, maybe I just didn't get it fully. Maybe there's something I missed there. Excuse me. Maybe, who knows. But regardless, I think it's a very enjoyable read. I feel like these sort of books with a bit of, I think, magical realism, you call it. I think this will be the book for you. Because it definitely has that. Alright, folks, so that is it. Let me know what you thought of the Cat Who Saved Books. And that is it. Remember, collect what you're passionate about, share it on YouTube. Bye!